Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome, everyone, to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. I'm Christian Karasiewicz, and this is episode 286 with myself, Jem Fuse, and guest Leticia Campbell. So this week, we want to talk primarily about a couple of new features actually that are being rolled out to some of your favorite social media platforms. We're going to start by talking about Clubhouse Payments. We're then going to discuss some new features being rolled out for TikTok to help you if you're not, for example, good at creating videos, even though I guess you should be good at creating videos if you're using TikTok. In addition to that, we're talking about some Facebook analytics updates, big changes there, along with some fantastic tools as well. But I'm going to go and bring on Jem, and we're going to kick things off. So Jem, pleasure having you back as always. I know we're just on a call, I think a couple of days ago, about, our Launch Your Live podcast. So how have you been doing?
Great. How about you?
Good, man. Good. Very good. Very good. Very busy week. Lots of exciting things coming up. But yeah, man, this is going to be a lot of fun. We have a new guest this week.
Yes. An exciting guest.
Do you want to tell our viewers about our guest?
Well, I mean, I've met Leticia, through social. She's high energy. I know she co-host with you on your Amazon Live show. So I think I think it's the first time I've actually seen her on camera in the same if we call it room, so to speak. So yeah, let's you bring her on.
Fantastic. So Leticia, good to see you. I know we were doing an Amazon Live show and your mic's muted, by the way, so I'll unmute you. Actually, I think she's laughing first. There we go.
So, I am. Hey guys, good morning.
Good to see you again. I mean, this is gonna be a lot of fun. So do us a favor, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Yes, well, I'm a mother, wife. I'm also the CEO and founder of the Campbell Success Network. I call myself the #1 sales and systems strategist. So what I do is I help very successful entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses ethically and organically through leveraging email marketing and systems.
Gotta say, I like that. I mean, I think you got your elevator pitch is down pat. So fantastic. So,
thank you.
And I know you and I, we met through live stream reviews, which we do on the StreamYard YouTube channel. So, again, fantastic, like having you join us for a show. I was thinking.
Thank you. I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for an invitation to get in the room with the both of you. So I'm excited.
Oh, good. Yeah. Jem's a great guy. So
yes, he is.
So glad that the two of you can finally get connected.
Yes. Yes.
Jem, I know we got a lot of topics. We have quite a few good topics, I think, to talk about this week. Do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, let's start with the probably the, I don't know if I call it the most controversial app of the last 6 months or so, but Clubhouse is now rolling out monetization to not everybody yet. Now, I will say everybody can pay people, but not everybody gets paid yet. So, of course, remember, this is an iOS only device still, unlike our friends over at Twitter who have rolled it out to both sides of the phone wars, both Android and iOS. So it's going to require you to use Stripe. I don't know, another account to set up for something else. But hey, I guess if you're getting paid, it's not going to be that big a deal. But I do find it interesting, right? If you decide that you want to start paying people, they're going to require you to add a credit card. Now, mind you, there has been some controversy in the past about, specifically with Clubhouse, about the fact that they were accessing people's contact information in their phone. So I'll be curious to see if everybody jumps on. I mean, I can see where the people that, the creators that want to monetize will jump all over this, but I could see where maybe some people will be a little hesitant to say, yeah, I'm going to give this person some money and I'm going to give them a credit card.
Right. I
Yeah,
agree.
that is a very interesting thing. Yeah, Leticia, what do you think about this one, by the way?
I totally agree with that point. Being the fact that it's so new, I feel like this should definitely, for those of you who are looking to monetize, for other options, and it goes back into your brand. You got to make sure that you're that trusted brand for the people to want to say, "I will," want to roll out my credit card to pay you. I'm still, I think it's still a great thing. I mean, a lot of business entrepreneurs have been asking that, whether they're doing B2B or B2C. But yeah, I do agree with Jim. It's still that trust there that has to grow. It's like, I feel like once it rolls out and everybody gets the opportunity to get access to it, that's going to be their main thing they want to promote. And then they're going to find that they're not going to get the result that they want to get, because they have to first build that trust first with their audience. And first, the audience itself has to first trust the app, trust that feature, in order to even decide on whether or not they want to go forward with it.
Yeah, very good point. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, I mean, Leticia brings up a great point. I mean, if all of a sudden it's going to turn into this, in a sense, pay to play, like, oh, if you want to come into my clubhouse, you got to pay to enter.
The
I
entry
mean,
fee.
this kind of goes back to, is this a way to try to, I mean, there's other ways, right? There's Patreon, there's Buy Me a Coffee, that if you want to support a creator, kind of comes back to, well, does the creator, what are they offering besides, because, and maybe some of it is, we've heard of these people that literally live on Clubhouse now.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So maybe they're trying to figure out, like, well, since I'm not working because I'm on Clubhouse all the time, maybe I need to make some money now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do see this working for like influencers, like the brands that are like millions of followers and what have you, because again, they're already a trusted brand. So that's the thing that people have to understand. Even with a platform like YouTube, how they say you have to have 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours. I see the reason why they do that, because before they monetize you, they want to make sure you're using the platform, you're leveraging the platform, and you have a solid following. So I see how maybe Clubhouse may venture towards doing that, to see how often you're using the app and how many people are actually engaging with you.
This is going to be very interesting. I mean, I'm looking at some of these things. So, for example, to Jem's point, about the credit card. So that's the first thing. Second thing is 100% of the payment will go to the creator. The person saying the money will be charged a small processing fee. Obviously, that's normal. But it does get to the point, Jem, where like, you made a good point. Like, if people have to pay to play, in this case, it's an entry fee to get into somebody. It could be an entry fee to get into somebody's club. So I see a lot of that potentially happening, and this is just like, this is sort of, I'm glad that people are able to start monetizing their efforts at the beginning, but I still think that there's going to be, and maybe, this is the marketer in me, but I have a feeling people are going to quickly diminish the value of Clubhouse. Like, they're going to be running their clubs and charging fees to get people in there potentially, or hey, I'm not going to tell you this unless you pay me a couple of dollars or something like that.
Well, and that's where I think if Clubhouse, as an example, right now, other than having your Instagram and Twitter link, and I still sometimes wonder if some point they might, as these other platforms roll out, quote unquote, audio apps, will they disconnect those ability to connect on social? But if they had allowed you to put links that actually work in your bio, as an example, you could say, you could have like the tip jar, the buy me a coffee, say, because then it could be like, I really like what this person's saying. I'm going to go and, in a sense, tip them for their advice. I think that would make things maybe easier in some ways, and it might also make people feel more comfortable because they already have trust in these other systems. So I'm curious to see, because of, especially with Twitter Spaces at the moment, like, will Twitter become one of those, will it be, you can only connect your Instagram, as an example, and that'll, I think, damage the platform, because right now there really is no other way to connect with people unless you go to one of these social platforms. And I've found it humorous in a way that sometimes you'll go to somebody's Instagram and you can tell the only reason they're using it is for Clubhouse, because they have little to no content out there. And they just want to get into the DMs.
Yeah, I like the aspect of the contribution versus saying, I'm just going to become a patron of your content, because you may love somebody's information, want to contribute to it, versus saying, okay, I'm gonna pay you $100 just to get like the full story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I like that aspect, because that's what I do. I will contribute to somebody's content, but I may not want to join their space or Clubhouse room or what have you, because there's so much content, there's so much information out there. It's gonna, and then on the consumer end of it all, they're gonna be part of like 5, 10, 11 different Clubhouse, paid channels. So it's gonna get to a point where it may just be excessive unless you have some really great content.
Right.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was curious too, and maybe I was like, imagining it, but I've wondered too, is Clubhouse, I don't know if I say peaked out, but is it still growing at the same rate? I know, like, I don't know about you all, but personally, I've got invites that I can give away, but I can't say that anyone's been clamoring like, hey, I need an invite. I've seen people, that got on initially are like, oh, I don't spend any time on there anymore. And, even though you've got clubs, it still goes back to, I think from an inclusivity standpoint, that's where I think Twitter Spaces, because they're still, supposedly coming to Android soon when it comes to Clubhouse. But it's like, I can go out there and there's, 300 plus million Twitter users. So it's not like I have to, send Leticia an invite to get on Twitter. So
Absolutely.
I think that's a big deal, personally.
It is. I do see it sizzling down on the consumer end of it all, because I see all businesses running there, influencers, businesses, celebrities running over there. But when it comes to the people who are buying from us, that's another app they got to download for them. And they're like, well, can I still get you on Facebook that already has 2.6 billion active users per month? It's like, it's like a toss, so I always tell people, go where your audience is, go where they are, not where they're at, what they're using on a day-to-day basis, so I think on the consumer end, yes, it's like a sizzling down a little bit, and it's not much of a necessity to them, but that's how I see it, as what I've noticed.
And just a couple of things real quick. I mean, for starters, I don't know if you all get the feeling, but it feels very, like, it sort of feels weird to be tipping people. Like, for example, like if you go, like in the States, if you go to a restaurant, for example, a server is sort of expecting 20%, for example. Provided, obviously people aren't going to restaurants much now, but you're tipping a driver, things like that. You're paying, they're kind of expecting 20%. And whereas in Europe and other countries like that, tipping is not required.
Not required.
So,
I do tip.
Upon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do tip creators. I definitely do. I do it a lot. Like if I'm listening to somebody and they have really good information and good content, and they have like a Cash App link they put up or something like that, I would definitely tip. And that's getting more bigger now, where people are asking for, it's not even asking. That's the point. Don't ask. If it's something that like, hey, you want to contribute to the channel, all proceeds go straight to this channel, or so you guys can continue to get this great content. As you build an audience, your audience gets to become so loyal to you that they're like, yeah, I want to keep watching, I want to keep seeing you. So yeah, as long as they see that's another thing. I don't want y'all to run out, those of y'all who are watching, and start making PayPal links and all this stuff. They have to see the fact that it is being contributed to the channel with your graphics, with your camera, with your sound and things like that. Like, don't start asking for contribution in April and in December you're still streaming from your car.
I will say it feels weird.
What's going on?
The tipping idea just feels weird, because it's just not like, it sort of feels like a bit of begging in a way. Like, even just by putting that link up, like, if, for example, into a couple of comments here. So Laura's asking, what's the requirement? So the requirement is that you just have to have it on your Clubhouse account, and then you have to go into your account and enable it. So right now they're only rolling out to select people. But it does feel weird. I mean, and also Sarah brings up a really good point. that, and I don't know if you all feel like this, we're reaching our limits on monthly subscriptions such as YouTube, Patreon, and dozens of streaming services. What do you guys think? I mean, are you guys at your limits with subscriptions?
I definitely always am evaluating, at least on a quarterly basis, where I'm sending money to.
Yeah.
I probably tend to like there's a couple people that I I have I think one person I support on Patreon. I've got I think so far one buy me a coffee that I do consistently, but I've never done a super chat on YouTube or anything of that nature because I it's like because it's and I think actually Leticia, you did one for Christian. I'm still waiting for my cut, but
I was saying, Jem, are you making payments to me?
but I think that the thing about it is, it's like, what super chat does, and right in there talking about that with Twitter as well, is you're basically getting your comment highlighted because you put some money in the jukebox, so to speak. So I just haven't felt a need to do that. But I have had some times where a conversation with someone, like maybe a Zoom call, like, oh, do you have a way I can do something for you? And that's where maybe, like you said, Leticia, I could say, well, I've got a, buy me a coffee or something like that. And it just makes people feel good because, a lot of times, right, it's like probably the most feared words of a business owner. Can I pick your brain?
Yeah. Yep.
You're asking for free information that I would normally charge for.
That's right.
So I think you have to be careful about, it's one thing to give away knowledge. It's another thing to get taken advantage of.
Exactly. That's very true.
Know that.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, with the whole aspect of tipping and stuff, I have a different mindset on it, but a lot of people will be more than happy to give you a super chat, but they're not in your direct audience to join your Patreon. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a lot of people who watch me that will tip, but they're not my target audience. They don't have a business. They just love to listen to me. And so that's like the flip side of it all. So it's like an equal medium. I do like Patreon too. I have a Patreon myself, and I also follow 2-3 people on Patreon. I do like the app itself. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, and one last point real quick on just the tipping thing. I mean, if the person provides good value, nothing like it's like going into a restaurant. If they give you good service and you go to that place quite frequently, tip them handsomely so that, your next times you go there, it's not to it's not to get that spotlight on you necessarily. It's to actually just reward somebody for the really good job that they're doing. Because in some of these industries, it's a thankless job, so it'll be interesting to see how this rolls out. I think you're going to see Twitter do the same thing with Spaces probably, I think at some point. I do like the fact though that the money is there up front versus somebody starting this and then having to figure out how do I actually make any money from this. So any last thoughts you want to add on this before we move to the next topic?
No, I think we're good. Oh, did Leticia fall off?
Let me see. Actually, no, she did just drop out. Let me see. She said her power glitched. Sorry about that. By the way, that's why when we do the show, we keep our phones handy as well. In the off chance that we have little glitches that do happen. So Leticia will be coming back here shortly. But yeah, I'm looking through like just some of the comments. Yeah, I mean the buy me a coffee is a good option. The PayPal, you can set up a custom PayPal link. I'd even add one other thing you could do. For example, if you're somebody who wants to collect payments from people, why not set up a PayPal? There's a certain PayPal link you can set up. You can set up a Patreon, for example, if you want to. You could have buy me a coffee. So you could actually set up a short little landing page using, for example, like Linktree or tools, or even like lead pages or places like that. And you can put all your links on that page. So then that way it's easy for people to. This was like what people were using for Instagram, but you could take the same concept to Clubhouse, for example, or other services if you want to encourage them to leave you a tip. So. Let me see if there's any other good comments here. Actually, yeah, Sarah made a good comment, by the way, too, about go where your audience is and where they like to hang out. Can't stress that. I mean, that is a really important point there. So, do you want to move to the next topic, or do you want to wait for Leticia to come back on?
Well, we could start to go in the next topic, and then hopefully Leticia will we'll be back here in a second. So yeah, you want to move into I think it was TikTok video ads or
Yeah,
video
TikTok video editor.
desktop video
Yes.
creation. Yes.
Yes, let's talk about this. Let's do this. How about, you know what? I'm going to bring Leticia back in. She's here.
Okay.
How we doing,
Sorry.
Leticia?
Y'all
Did
didn't
we
hear
say
me
something?
Y'all didn't hear me swear, did you?
No.
No.
It cut you off. It cut you off.
Okay, good. No, I'm sorry. We had a little power glitch here. It shut off everything for like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
good.
happened. That happened last night. We lost power for a couple hours. It's out of the blue. Boom. You know,
And you were like,
260
what do
Yeah.
we do? What do we do?
Yeah, we weren't sure when it was going to come back on. Yeah, because there was no storm. It was just
Nothing.
power went out. Yeah, that's
No,
the
I was
worst.
thinking more the lines of like, you know, how people have gotten to the point where now they don't know what to do, like when the internet goes down, for example.
That's my kids. That's what
Right.
they just did. Mommy, the Wi-Fi's off. Calm down. It's not the end of the world.
Right. Well, they think it
No.
is.
Yes, they do. They really do.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna move to the next topic, by the way, and that
Yes.
topic is we're gonna talk about TikTok video editor. Jim, do you want to kind of tell our viewers a little bit about this one?
So what they're doing for brands that have business accounts with TikTok, they're going to allow you to create video ads in your browser. So that's it's interesting. It probably is helpful in some ways. It just seems kind of well, there's two things. One, it seems counterintuitive because TikTok was known as something that people watch on their mobile device. But two, now we have someone else trying to, in a sense, create a video editing process that there's already a ton of apps out there. So you know, you kind of wonder like, what are there going to be some limitations? But I could also see where it can be helpful because I think, you know, maybe because I'm getting older and, you know, I sometimes like to see stuff on a bigger screen and trying to do everything on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
I mean,
good
what do you
point,
think
yeah.
of this, Leticia?
I think that with TikTok, they're trying to keep people on the app itself. So I do see why they would say, okay, let's create our own editor feature. My kids watch TikTok on the computer, actually. So I think they're noticing, and even like with my email marketing, I thought everyone opened my email through mobile, but more people open it through desktop. So more and more people are using their desktop nowadays, you know. So I think that's probably the reason why they're offering it on desktop.
Yeah, we found like with Amazon Live, Chris and I on Dealcasters that about 2/3 of our viewers or purchasers are doing it from desktop.
Yes,
So
yes.
I was a little surprised at
Me
how high of a
too.
percentage that was.
Right. Yeah, that really shocked me. So it's, you know, I like I said, I could see, like you mentioned, Jim, I could see why they're deciding to do it.
Yeah, this is really interesting, actually. I mean, I'm looking at what's here. I mean, just these screenshots, and you know, this looks very much like Facebook Ads Manager. No stretch of the imagination there, but I mean, I like just the drag and drop interface of it. I mean, it looks super easy to make videos. I mean, granted, I can go use umpteen programs for video editing these days, but I think from a business perspective, if I'm a business and I'm wanting to create TikTok ads, first off, I don't think I'm going to have a hard time creating TikTok videos because, for example, I already know how to do that if I'm on TikTok and I'm already using the platform, and now I'm moving into ads. So the fact though that now you can sort of recreate, like if you want to recreate something like that outside of TikTok, that's where it does get to be a challenge, I guess, because there is a certain like look that they want things to have.
Right.
And that's gonna be actually really interesting because if you look at these, if they're going to be very much like what you see on TikTok, it seems like it does blur the lines a lot between what we see for an ad and what the company would normally put out, like on most social media platforms. However, moving into TikTok with TikTok Video Editor, it looks very much like these are going to be very, very similar to the standard TikToks people are going to create. I find it interesting that this is on desktop though, because you know, if I'm using TikTok on my mobile phone, like I'm standing up, I've got, you know, like I'm not editing this on a desktop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a very different vibe, I think, for desktop versus doing it on mobile. Like for the most part, I'm sitting at a desk right now Like, am I gonna, for most people, they probably don't have a studio per se. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this rolls out. Jem, any thoughts or Leticia or Jem, any other thoughts on TikTok video editor here?
I mean, I don't do a lot with TikTok. I mean, the one TikTok video I created, I did it on my phone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, for these brands that have, really dove deep into it. But like Leticia said earlier, it's kind of like, this doesn't mean as a business, if your folks aren't on TikTok, you need to go run and get this so you can edit videos on your desktop.
Yeah.
So I think, but I mean, I think it makes sense that they want to stay relevant, right? Because who's the brand we don't hear a lot about other than for filters? Where's Snapchat at?
That's deep.
Absolutely. No. So this it's interesting. I like the point though you brought up, which is,
well, for me, I like the aspect of, since I'm always on my desktop.
Yeah.
I don't like me having to switch from desktop to now doing something solely on my phone. I do like the desktop feature because now I don't have to switch back and forth. So, for example, if I'm uploading a YouTube video, if I am sending out, content information to the team, and I'm solely on my desktop, I could just open a new tab for TikTok and say, you know what, I could just do this right here on my desktop, rather than saying, okay, hold on a minute, let me, edit this video directly on a TikTok app. You get what I'm saying? I'm always thinking like on productivity wise, going back and forth switching. I don't have to do that anymore because the fact that, TikTok offers that desktop feature.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Jem, I prefer to do a lot of stuff on desktop. Like, it depends what I'm doing. Like, some tasks I like to do on mobile, but there's some that I find it easier to do on desktop. So.
Well, and you also find, like, say as an example, probably more so with Canva than a couple of other apps.
Oh yeah.
You almost have to do it on desktop because the mobile just doesn't quite have everything you need.
I was the only one who felt that way. I thought I was weird because some people I just make videos, make Canva graphics on my phone. I was like, I can't do that. Is it because I'm old?
It's not just you. But I like, at least when I make it and it's done, I can upload it from the app on the phone, so I don't have to necessarily do an airdrop, which I could, but that's where I think with a lot of this stuff, you just have more capability when you're on your desktop. I mean, even the tablet versions don't always work right. So or like some apps, have you noticed, if you put it on your tablet, like even Instagram, if I look at it on my iPad, it's like, why don't you let me look at it with my tablet this way? Why does I have to turn my tablet sideways to use Instagram on my iPad? So, the little things like that make me scratch my head.
And I will say, like, culturally, the other thing I'm also looking at here. So, for example, with TikTok video editor, it looks like the ads they're showing, I think that's Chinese. I can't quite, I can't read it, but it looks like it's Chinese in the ad, actually. Here, let me just bring that back up. So my guess is this is obviously also catering to a certain audience. So, for example, I would think if I'm an agency and I'm making ads for brands, for example, for TikTok, I think I would use it on desktop. I think, unless that's not their preference in that location. Some people do everything on mobile, but they could also maybe be translating this to a mobile version. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's TikTok video editor for brands so that they can create video ads from desktop.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, Jem, I think we got one more topic for the week, right?
Yes, it's very controversial, at least in some ways. Facebook says insights are going away, which if you're a business, you're like, wait a minute. That's the whole insights? Thing that I wanted. But if you read the fine print, what they're doing is, at least my opinion, I'm not an expert in this aspect. They're forcing us all to go to Business Suite. They've been wanting this for a long, long time, and now this is how that's what happens with Facebook. And I know it frustrates a lot of the small businesses that I work with, especially when I do training. Is they're like, they change it all the time, right? And it's frustrating because people don't like, where did my stuff go, or how do I
Mm-hmm.
do this now? So I think it's gonna have people up in arms as well, because it's now like, well, wait a minute, how do I get my statistics to know what's going on? Because this is what people have relied on, because otherwise you start forcing people into paid tools. And of course, you can make the argument, how long will it be before, in some cases, some of these platforms, right, it becomes a revenue stream, so they shut
Yeah.
down third-party tool access.
Yeah.
What do you think, Leticia?
Yeah, I totally agree with Jim. Just sitting back and waiting to see how this is all going to pan out, because everything is about, accessibility for the users. So, I'm really interested to see how this, I mean, I have Business Suite, but I don't use it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like on the side, I have the app downloaded and everything. I really go into the insight feature and really uses that, because it's, when I'm looking at it, it's easier to look at, it's easier to really pull information from. So yeah, I like Christian was saying earlier, it was like thinking like maybe this is an April Fool's thing,
Seriously, that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was. This
Mhm.
published on, I think it was like the day after April Fool's, and I was like, oh, did they
Yes.
accidentally like forget to unschedule this? But to Jim's point, if you read through, if you read through the document
Mhm.
that's here, for example, the first line is, they're telling you that, you can still get this information. Other business tools can help you understand your advertising presences and activities on Facebook and Instagram. So this is also got to read through this, through these fine lines here.
Yeah.
It's also going to happen to Instagram, I think, at some point, based on what's
Oh,
here.
I see. Okay.
So Facebook Business Suite, they want you to use that to manage your Facebook and Instagram business accounts. Ads manager, events manager, for example. I mean, I do like the fact that it does want people to go into the data, like on the platform.
But wouldn't it be nice, I don't know how many times this happens to you now, but if your business, or even sometimes you get tagged in a notification, and then when you click on it, you don't go to what you can't find what you were just tagged in.
Yeah. That's
You have that happen too? What?
I do. I have that happen too, where I'm going to like, okay, where is it? You know what I mean? Yeah.
And then I don't even mess with like trying to find it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I
like,
just thought, all right.
Okay, sorry.
Right.
And it's not that I don't want to. It's just that it's too much work to have to figure it out. Now, the other side to this that I'm going to be really interested in, having worked with Facebook for quite a few years on a lot of this, some of this stuff. For example, the whole Business Suite aspect. There are a lot of people that have nobody's account is the same. So, for example, some people have had, they've used a Facebook shared login, for example, that is no longer supported. So if they happen to have an account like that, the new stuff doesn't always work. There's people that have, they can't even get into Facebook Business Suite, because of the type of account they have, or something that could have happened along the way. Or remember when you could, merge pages into one another? You can still do it, but people were converting profiles to pages. People were
Facebook actually will do that. I've seen that happen to businesses before. I mean, even I'm a member of the American Legion here in Marietta, and when I came in, I was like, it was funny that kind of the way the page was named, but I was like, wow, they got about 5,000 followers. Well, it's because somebody had at first been a person, American Legion, and at some point they're like, hey, you're not really a person, you're a business, so we're going to make you into a business page. And so you see that happen where, businesses wanted to be a person instead of making it a business account.
Oh, I see.
And so when they catch you, it's like, unless you can prove you're really a person, they will make you into a business page. And then of course they're like, how do I manage this? And I found it humorous.
Yeah, that is
all sorts of problems when you have that happen. And for some people, like, they did it because their page was not getting the engagement. So by making a profile, they would basically, it was almost like I don't want to say if it was like a scheme, but basically they would dump you into one particular type of account. And then when it got to a certain amount, then they move it into the next. Then they would do the same thing and then dump that. So basically you could have, essentially, if you think about it, you could have two profiles that were set up as businesses set up as a profile. And then what they could do was they would then convert that profile to a page when it hit the limit, convert the next one from a profile to a page, and then they would do a merge on the 2 pages, for example,
automatically, like without even asking you to accept or deny
the user would actually do that.
Oh, I
The
see.
user
Okay.
could. And so then you end up with, because we don't know behind the scenes what it's like. You could end up with a broken account at some point, whether it was ads related or accessing Business Suite. So like you couldn't get into Ads Manager or Business Suite or things like that. So
yeah, I mean, I will say that the one advantage and why I created a quote unquote Business Manager, Business Suite account was if you're managing multiple pages and wanted to have pixels, right? You had to have that because otherwise, on a personal side, you could get 1 pixel. And so if you're wanting to use the Facebook pixel on websites and you're managing multiple pages, you had to go there. There wasn't a choice.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And I mean, again, June 30th. So you still have some time. You've got June 30th, and you're going to be able to export your data into a CSV file from your Facebook analytics on desktop. According to Facebook, you just click the drop-down arrow in the top right corner of each chart or table. And then you're going to have to obviously figure out what to do with that data. So I don't know, Jem, would you recommend, should a business export their data before this change takes place?
I mean, probably from the perspective of, I would think, data is important. So if you're not managing your data, how do you know how effective the platform is for you? So
yes, that's true.
I think you need to do that because maybe that means it's not going to carry over to the new, wherever it's going to go, Business Suite, wherever. So it's probably not a bad idea to download that data.
Good point. So we're going to move into Act 2 of the show, and this is where we chat with our guest. We've got a couple of questions for her.
Yes.
And Jim, do me a favor. Do you happen to have the questions handy for Leticia?
I do.
Awesome. So what's the first question we have for her?
So question 1, Leticia, what is a system and why do they matter for a business?
Well, let me first start off with why do they matter? Because you have to streamline everything that you're doing. When I teach my clients about how to create systems is you saying, how can I take these tasks that I need to get done every single day or every single month and systemize it? Right. So systems are very important because I call it like your path to profits is basically how is your business designed? How is your business modeled? And how can we take something that you do as far as like, let's say if you're going live, like what's the system for when you go live? Okay. Are you marking that live before you do the show? What happens during the show? And then what happens after? Like what is the system that your step-by-step process that you take in order to make your business work and effective? So I use systems for several different things. Like if I'm getting a new client, there's a system for onboarding, and there's a system for communication, and there's a system for offboarding and retention, because systems help you literally stay on top of your business. If I was to sum it all up, it really helps you to definitely stay on top of your business.
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about systems for anything else you want to ask about systems?
I mean, we've got another question for her if you want to go to that, but I don't have any. Because coming out of a 20+ year in the Marine Corps, I'm all about systems.
That's
so
right.
That's how, because when you think about it, people don't always realize in the military, a lot of things we train it's kind of for like that next person up. Like if somebody goes down in combat or whatever, the next person has to be able to step into place. So if you don't have that process in place, you're going to be in big trouble.
Exactly. It's the same thing in business. Like, what if you have an assistant that happens to take off or disappears or decides to do something else? Like, do you have anything documented on do you have anything documented on what it is that you do, how you run your business? So when that next person comes, they could just jump right in and take over. And yes, there is a training process involved, but it's more streamlined. It's more synced. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And to that point, the other thing I wanted to just really quickly add is just that basically, if you really boil it down, it's documenting how it's sort of documenting how you do things in a business, so that then if you do want to bring somebody in to help something, and for example, as a solopreneur, for example, if you don't have some of these systems set up, you're doing everything, and you're doing it because you do it from memory. However, document it. And then this way you can also go and you can, you can run that system when you actually bring someone else in.
Exactly. And also tweak it. Like before you even hire somebody, you can, document that system for yourself and then say, you know what, I don't really need to do that part, like step 5, maybe let me just skip that over to the next step and change it up a little bit. I had to start creating systems in my business by force because, as you guys know, I have 5 children, so young kids. So this house stays busy. I'm kind of surprised why they're quiet right now, but because that's not a good sign all the time. But I had to come up with a daily routine and figure out, like, how do I want to run things in my business, trying to evolve my business around, my household. And I always say this funny story. When I left my job back on August 11th of 2017 to do this full time, I spent like a whole 2 weeks not doing anything because I felt it was so weird not having a boss to micromanage you or give you deadlines. So like I said, even that time I had to say, okay, I need to sit down and just figure out, like, step by step, what are my focuses needs to be, what I need to be working on, what needs to be drawn attention to, and what needs to be delegated or outsourced to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So I started to, after a few years of going from one project management to the next, I've used things like Trello and several Asana and all different types of things. We started to navigate through money.com. And I love that platform so much. We've been using it probably for now going on 4 or 5 months. And I just really like the accessibility of it because my brain thinks more in like spreadsheet form. You know what I'm saying? Where it's all laid out, colors, subtitles, and all those things. So it's really, really good, especially for those of you who are looking to build a team. Like I have a team of 27 people. So I have designers, I have social media managers and VAs and all that stuff. So it's just, I'll create a board and they see everything on that board. I also have my boards for my clients. So the clients can see the process of if they're getting a website, they'll see the process of the site. Because what I was finding is I was always locked in all day into Facebook Messenger or into my email because communication can take up a lot of your time throughout the day. So I had to sit down and say, how can I not be the one to always have to answer the questions, because I was literally bottlenecking my business. So I was like, how can I not be the one? How can the client can see where their project, how's it going with their project, even if it's a social media graphic. So they're not always having to come to me and ask me. But another thing is that I did not want the client to always have to communicate with the 27 people on the team. So we have one central person, she's an OBM, and she's like in the middle, and she's the one that inputs all the information on the boards. And then the client's able to come on and see where the team's at with their project. So that so far has been helping for the past 5 months a lot. Is like, I don't have to be the go-to person for information or the deciding factor on projects. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a great, I didn't realize you had a team that was that large. I mean, but systems, I mean, they help. So that next question for you is like, what are some systems a business should set up? Like, can you maybe share just a handful of examples, like 1 to 2?
Yes, definitely a system that you should definitely set up is your social media marketing. Like, your marketing system is so important because you are the face of your business. You are the face. So definitely set up a system of marketing. Like, okay, when are you going live? What's the process of when you're going live? How does your social media platforms need to look? That needs to definitely be an established system early on, and everything else trickles on behind that. Secondly, you need to figure out what your back end system is. Right. Because that's, you spend a lot of time, doing all the back end stuff, the emailing, the communication, the everything. Like, how can you take all these things that goes on in the back end and how can you systemize that? So that's another second point to creating those systems, because you are solopreneur now, but if you want to scale, you can't be a solopreneur forever. So at some point you got to relinquish power to someone. When people ask me, well, Leticia, when did you start getting help in your business? The minute I launched my business, I always had a VA. Even when I was working my business and working a full-time job, I had a VA that managed my whole, at the time, it was my Facebook account, because I thought of it this way. The owner of Walmart when he first decided to come up with Walmart, he didn't say, "Well, I'm going to be the cashier and the store manager and the stock guy." No, he said, "Okay, we're going to open the store. We're going to get maintenance in there. We're going to get project management team in there. We're going to get HR." So that's how
Mhm.
it is. I feel like, people like say, and it's just my opinion, people say, "Well, when you're making a certain amount of money, you can get all these things." I'm like, no, if you need to get all these things so you can make this certain amount of money, right? And so, like I said, I was like, in a sense, forced to get a system, because I was like, well, I can't just be a great mom and also, an entrepreneur and things like that. At some point, things are going to be neglected. So, and again, another point I want to make is you're going to spend a long time finding the right people. It took me years to find the 27 people I had, and this is why I'm really protective over them. Because it's in these social media streets, people will say they do something, and really that's not even the case. So I always tell people, hire slow, fire fast.
Right. Well, and I think, you bring up a great point. And the other thing sometimes, and that's why I'm a big fan of the book, the E-Myth series, because we, like as an example, I had a client a few years ago that was spending a ton of time doing her own books. It's like, why
Yeah.
don't you just hire an accountant?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like an in-house accountant, right? You can outsource a lot of these things. And then to your point, Leticia, that actually makes it easier to fire them, especially if it's not even necessarily fire. It's like, we're just terminating the contract, right? You're not
That's right.
paying benefits and taxes. It's like, there's a lot to be said for the 1099 relationship.
Yeah, that's very true. And it's more of an aspect of like, what's your goal? Where do you see yourself going? And I see a lot of entrepreneurs that started out when I did, 15 years ago, and they're still doing the same thing today. And it's not to like bash anyone or anything like that. It's just that you could, if you want to scale, you need help. You need to create. But again, before you hire help, you have to write out your systems. I put mine up on a Google Drive, Google Doc, and I also create a video version of it. So let's say if it's something as simple as, getting people in my Facebook groups, like, hey, as a pending person in the Facebook group, here's what I want that to do here's what I want somebody to do before I accept them. So it's documenting everything you do, which I know for some people it's hard, because I run into situations where we're working with women, some women who don't want to delegate it out. They're used to doing everything on their own. And I had this one client say, well, I like scheduling my own posts. I'm like, yeah, Tanya, but there's other things you're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So, delegate this so that way you could do that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, paper trail, everything, paper trail. It's same thing as a job. You're not just going to get hired and then they expect you to go out there and do what you need to do. There's an orientation process. They have textbooks of processes, all the way from ringing up a customer to how do you write out a check? You know what I mean? So what is yours, right? What is yours? Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's a really good point. I mean, just the fact that, like, a lot of people, when you're giving that Walmart example, for example, a lot of people, they look at it and they think that, oh, it's my business. I need to do everything in my business. But you may, like at the beginning, like, yes, like you need to work at, figuring out what those processes are going to be, what that system is going to be. You may have to, like, for example, if you have to mop the floors, for example, things like that, like we hear these stories all the time. Like, oh, I started out like working in the stock room, for example, and then I moved to this position and this position and this position. Like, you still pitch in on things like that. But the big thing is you can't hold everything to yourself, because you're not going to allow yourself to grow.
Exactly.
That's the key. That's why systems are super important.
That's right.
Part of it's getting you to trust people, but that's how, like, the larger businesses grow. I mean, they constantly are bringing in people to help them with tasks. They're, I don't say you're not good at it. You may be good at it, but there may be somebody better at it, for example.
Exactly.
So to somebody who likes to schedule their social media posts, that takes a lot of time, doesn't it, Jem?
Yes, it does.
Like, it takes a lot of time to get that stuff together, so build, like, as you're building something, build a second track. And that second track is, these are the instructions that I want people to do for the first one. This way you can move versus like trying to move things along. Like if you're trying to move 10 things along at once, you only have so much that you could move versus if I'm moving one thing and I have other people helping with other things, we're moving things together. They may not be moving at the same pace, but you work to get the whole line. Go back to your example, Jem. Actually,
that's why I say military. I was just thinking that
it's moving everybody together
in unison,
so that something happens to somebody, then you can easily bring that other person in. So
yeah,
I love all that. So this is really good.
Yeah.
So what we want to do? So you touched on a tool real quick. You touched on a tool called. So I want to move into tool time real quick here. You touched on a tool, and so I got to get everybody doing like tool time like recordings. So you touched on a tool. We're going to now move into tool time, and so where we're talking about two tools that we think can help you as a business. You touched on this tool when we were just talking with you called Monday.com.
Yes.
Can you tell our viewers about Monday.com? Like, what is Monday.com?
Well, Monday.com is definitely, I call it like a project management.
Oh, I got your board in there, by the way. Does that matter?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
this is this is my board here. And this is like what I do is I just dump every single thing on this board. Like every week I do a brain dumping. So I dump everything on the board. On the side here, I have tons of tabs. Most of these are client tabs. Like this is a client of mine, and further down there's client tabs. But this is like the main board at the top, and I have my team member. Well, yeah, they call them team members, but this is my assistant. She's actually attached to this board, so she sees everything I add on here, and then I move stuff around to the days, to the project topic. And what I love about Monday.com is that, well, I love a lot of things about this site, is I started to have everyone track their time so we could see how long certain things are taking to get done. And this helps a lot, guys, because let's say you're not let's say you feel that you're not ready to hire someone, right? So you can use this platform, dump out all your tasks, everything you have to do for the week, and then track how long it takes you to do something, right? So now when you're hiring somebody, and sometimes VAs and designers, they charge you per hour, right? You already know how long something takes, because what we were finding, I spent a lot of money in the beginning on VAs because I didn't know any better. So I would give them like hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. And when I started to realize how long certain things took, I'm like, girl, like we can either reevaluate this, because this should only take you 30 minutes. You're telling me it takes you 6 hours. You know what I'm saying? So, doing this early on, you tracking your own personal time, how long it takes you to get some things done when you're hiring somebody, right? When y'all have that meeting, because I encourage you to have that, like a call with that person and say, listen, I'm the budget for, scheduling posts is 2 hours, because I'm already going to give you the content. You just got to schedule out in the system or go in and do it. Okay, I need you to spend 2 hours a day on engaging with my followers, or 4 hours a month on following up. So you already know. So they just can't say, well, it takes 20 hours for this and 32 hours for that and things like that, because they're literally like, it's not their fault. It's not that people are trying to be, not have a lack of integrity, but it's really, they're giving you an estimate.
Right.
Because they haven't really started working with you yet. So they may work with one entrepreneur and something may take 30 minutes, but maybe they worked with somebody else recently and it took them 30 hours. You know what I'm saying? So you automatically know your track record on how long certain things gets done. So that's one thing I like about this particular thing here. And I use it for practically everything in my brand. This does a lot. Like there's some features on this platform that I haven't even started to tap into yet, but this is definitely like a central station. Yes, I've used Asana. Yes, I've used Trello, and I just really like the accessibility and the user friendliness of Monday.com.
Very cool. Yeah. And that tool is, it starts at $8 per seat per month.
Yep.
And it's used for managing obviously some very simple projects. You can go all the way to very complex ones, as Leticia mentioned. So it's $8 per seat per month. And that's for the basic plan. There's also the standard plan, which is $10 per seat per month. And then it looks like it's $16 per seat per month for the pro plan as well.
Yes.
And those have things like integrations, private, let's see, create a dashboard that combines up to 10 boards versus 5 boards versus 1 board. Jem, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I think though when I was looking at it, Leticia, you have to start out with at least 3 people, right? I don't think I didn't see where you could go like I could start it by myself and then add later. Like it's really
You can
meant for
start by
groups.
yourself. I started it. I created an account and it was just me because I was testing it out for a few months.
Yeah.
And then I started to add, my team over onto it. Yeah.
Okay,
So
because when I was looking at it, it's like when it said team size, it looked like it only went down to 3 when I was looking at the plan.
Yeah, actually, I'm wondering, because it
let's
says
look at the
$8
plan.
per seat per month, $24 per month billed annually. So it seems like there may be.
So when I went up
teams
there where
to-
it says choose team size, it didn't let me go.
Oh, I see. What about the monthly? I swear I was doing it using it by myself.
But they may have changed it too to where you have to, because even Dropbox for business, it's like they don't really let you just get, we ended up having to get like I think a couple of seats. So my wife has a seat, I have a seat on Dropbox.
Yeah. Interesting though, very interesting. I mean, very good tool. I would say. I mean, it falls very much in line with just having systems. And helping you stay on top of things in your business. I like that time tracking feature. I think that's a really useful thing. And I also like the fact that, you mentioned, something that should take like 30 minutes. So here's the thing, like if a task takes if you think it takes 30 minutes, like maybe give them an hour, for example, hour and a half or something like that to start and then scale it back.
Yeah.
But if it's, for example, if you find that it's like, hey, it's taking 6 hours, it shouldn't take 6 hours. Is there something I need to, do I need to figure out? Like, I need to ask them, well, what took 6 hours?
Yeah.
Because it couldn't take that long.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do need to be direct with people on that. So the second tool that we have for this week, by the way, also is it's called Milotree. Jem, do you want to talk about this one real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. It looks like it allows you to create these pop-ups on your social that will allow people to subscribe or follow you. And so it's I took a look at it. I mean, I'd like to see. The only thing I thought was a little strange is like, it's that whole thing. Like, so if someone's on Facebook, what is that like? Like, does it, because it's already that whole thing of something popping up like a landing page on a social platform. Is that something somebody's gonna really like, or is it? But I like the idea. To make it easy to allow someone to opt in, so to speak, from your other platforms.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. You pick a service, connect your account, and then you sign up for the 30-day trial to give it a try, basically. Let me see if I can pull up a sample. I mean, obviously, you can use other services to accomplish some of this sort of thing. For example, I guess the Instagram one popping up. That is nice. I mean, that you can at least apply this over top of some content.
So they're on Facebook and you tell them to follow you on Instagram? Like, is that what it is?
That's a good question. I mean, this is showing an example of the integrations, but I don't know if you're on Instagram and like, I don't know, maybe you see somebody's picture and all of a sudden when you scroll over it, it's like, hey, follow us on Instagram because maybe you're not following.
I see. Prompted them to hit that follow button.
Yeah.
I see this tool being useful because people can watch you for weeks and then forget to say, oh, let me just follow them and I could just continue to get their content. Yeah,
it's so basically you can customize it for your WordPress site or
I see.
Or with a single, so there's a plugin or there's a single line of code you can put in.
Okay.
And then it basically makes it easy for you to customize these pop-ups to match your website.
Okay.
So think of it like this, like growing my social media following. If I want to grow it on, for example, let's go to integrations. Like say I want to grow it on Instagram, for example. This is an option I could have pop up on my website. Basically, it's pulling in your social account into a pop-up box.
Got it.
And some of these, like the email one, for example, that's easy to like accomplish with like a tool like an opt-in monster or things like that. This sort of, I don't know, Jem, do you get the feeling this is sort of like, I mean, the YouTube one is nice as well. I mean, it really comes down to what your business is about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, and where
do you want to build your traffic to? That's another thing. Cause I don't, when I go to a site, having too many pop-ups is frustrating and distracting.
Yes.
So yeah, you got to have a little bit of intent if you decide to do something like this.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I would tend to think that most of us want to try to build up our email list
Yes.
Yeah.
so that we,
And then pivot from there.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Get them off the rented land so you have their contact information.
Exactly. Bam.
And here's and it does have an email integration as well. And then the price
Awesome.
of this is
$9
it's actually
per hour.
Not bad.
yeah,
You said per hour.
$99, right?
No, per hour. Yeah.
$9 a month, $99 a year, smart pop-ups for your business. Yeah. So
Okay.
check that one out.
I'm
And
gonna check
I
that out.
want to bring up one other comment real quick. So Sarah had made the comment earlier, and this ties perfectly into what you all both just said, which is go where your people are. So the same exact thing of what are you actually going to be sharing? For example, if I'm going to share, like if I want to build up my email list on my website, then I want to put a pop-up to go there. I don't necessarily want to drive them directly, like drive them over to that rented property. I mean, it's almost like it's like real estate, actually, Jem.
Exactly.
It's like owning a house versus renting a house, or owning a condo versus renting a condo or an apartment. Like you're giving someone else that money. For example, in this case, you're giving Facebook, Instagram, etc. You're giving them all of your potentially, access to like your followers, potentially your photos, all the other like stuff. Like if something were to ever happen, then you then have to go find another piece of land, basically.
That's right. That's right.
Versus if you own something, for the most part, obviously, if you own something that like it's yours. So, so definitely, always try to move them over to your email list, and start building that email list if you don't have one.
You need to, you have to, because, everyone has their email app on. Like my Gmail app is always on, and a lot of people turn off Facebook, or they have that on like do not disturb, so they don't get notifications when you're posting or what have you. So, but people always get your emails. 9 times out of 10, they'll get the email from you before they even see that you went live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it is important for you to say, let me just get on my list first and then pivot them from there. And rather than saying, let me get them to follow me or subscribe to me on YouTube, and then they subscribe to you, and then all of a sudden they get other suggested videos of people who do similar to what you're doing. So now there's more distractions. Right. Yeah.
Well, and that's one last point real quick on that. I mean, that's a really good point about, pivoting them to other social media platforms. So for example, if you get them on an email list, you can set up essentially an autoresponder. So that autoresponder would be somebody joins your email list, and then maybe the first email is like a welcome email. The second one are your social media platforms where you are, for example, most active at. And then you're moving into, the other emails that you want them to learn about. For example, hey, I have a blog. Here's my blog. For example, hey, I have a show. Here's my show. So this way, you're not just like, telling people like, hey, go follow me on social, and then and then hoping they're going to go do that. There's a system basically in place for that. So with that, I don't have any more questions. I think this was a great show. Leticia, I'm glad that we invited you on.
I was so excited.
Really glad to have you on. Just a couple, so for those who want to get connected with Leticia, and I took this from the information you sent me, by the way. You told me to send them to, I think it was facebook.com/TheRealLeticia Campbell, right?
Yep. Or go to CampbellSuccessNetwork.com, either or.
Awesome. So yeah, be sure you connect with Leticia there. And for Jem is Fusion Marketing everywhere on the web. So he's got that polo shirt on as well. So custom polo shirt. But I love the idea. I love the idea of branding, your business and representing your business and what you're doing. So, be sure to go connect with both Jem and this week's guest, Leticia Campbell. Just a couple of quick notes here, by the way. Episode 286 blog post is going out over the weekend, socialchefs.com/SC286. In addition to that, we're going to be joined next week by Amy Aram. She's going to be joining us on that's the 15th. Yeah, the 15th.
Awesome.
10 a.m. So for those of you who are tuning in and it's on the West Coast, sorry, we did an early show this week. I know you weren't going to get up at 5 a.m. probably, but we do vary the time sometimes. So it's youtube.com/socialchefs or facebook.com/socialchefs. I want to thank both of you for joining us. This was a great show. I learned a lot.
Me too.
I hope you all did too.
Yeah.
And I love all the examples you shared. But with that, we will see you all next Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.